Hi, I'm John Montgomery with the JR Group, and today I'll be talking with Robin Burton, who is the director of the Clarksville-Montgomery County Education Foundation. We're going to learn all the great things this nonprofit is doing in support of our teachers and students, and more importantly, how you can get involved. We are here with Robin Burton from the Clarksville-Montgomery County Education Foundation, and thank you for joining us, Robin.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Feel special.
Absolutely. Well, we've known each other for quite some time, and I just wanted to invite you here so that we can share with our community what it is that you do with the Education Foundation, and really just kind of talk about what a great asset that is for not only our school system but the community at large.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right, well, so for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh wow. Okay. Let's see. Well, I've been in Clarksville, Montgomery County for almost 15 years now. Came here partially by way of the military, partially because we just like Middle Tennessee. And so when I moved here, I started in economic development. So I was director of economic development for about 4.5 years, and I was also vice president of marketing communications for the EDC for about 5 years. So I got very entrenched in Montgomery County very quickly. And part of that also had me working with the school system, which I learned quickly what an amazing school system we have. So when this opportunity came up to take over the foundation, I jumped at it because it mixes a lot of the relationships I had in economic development with something I'm passionate about, which is public education. So I'm a graduate of the University of Mississippi, very, very proud. Ole Miss Rebel. We're terrible at football, but that's okay. We love them anyways.
Yeah. I mean, you got the hottie toddy.
Yes.
Yes. Both of our daughters were close to attending Ole Miss.
It was, great. I loved it. And I'm from Atlanta originally, so I am a transplant like a lot of people with Clarksville. So, but it's home now. This is home.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned economic development, and then you mentioned the EDC. So, who better to help explain the EDC and how it kind of serves as this umbrella over multiple different organizations?
Yes.
And
yes.
Can you explain a little bit of that?
So the Economic Development Council was founded in the mid-90s, so it's newer as an organization goes compared to some communities. But what they did is they created this not-for-profit organization that then houses now the Chamber of Commerce, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and the Industrial Development Board. And on top of that, they have a private foundation because recruitment's expensive. To be able to bring in these companies like we have the last 25, 30 years, it costs money.
Right.
So the Aspire Foundation is a privately funded foundation that allows the team at the IDB and EDC to go out and recruit, not spend taxpayer dollars, which is very important. But Industrial Development Board is a very specific board that has mandates by the state of Tennessee and how it has to run. They do a majority of the economic recruitment. So when you hear about LGE, LG Chem that just came, Hancock, any kind of expansion, that all runs through the IDB. And then the EDC, as you said, is just an umbrella organization that houses that. The Chamber of Commerce, which I love our Chamber of Commerce, and Linda and her team are great.
Absolutely.
And then Convention and Visitors Bureau, also known as Visit Clarksville, which Teresa Harrington's getting ready to retire after 25 plus years, which is crazy to me. But they do a lot of great work bringing tourism because people don't realize we have a very healthy tourism environment here in Montgomery County. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the Reader's Digest condensed version of the organization.
That's important because, a lot of people don't understand how the different entities work together. And I know the EDC is preparing to release a strategic plan here in the next 2 or 3 months, I believe. So that'll be exciting to see what that involves. And, the reason I wanted to ask you that is because there is a lot of cooperation between, the local economy, the state economy, and the school system, obviously, right? So it's kind of like you can't have one without the other. Now that you've kind of told us a little bit about yourself, tell us a little bit about this Clarksville Montgomery County Education Foundation.
Sure, and I think kind of to piggyback off what you just said, what people need to realize is that the future workforce of this community is in a kindergarten classroom right now. So it is crucial for everyone in the community to understand when you invest in public education, you're investing in your future workforce. And it's hard to think, little 5 and 6 year olds in a kindergarten classroom, but 12, 15 years, that's who you're going to be hiring. So it's important to make sure that they have opportunities and that we make it as equitable as possible for these kids. Because the ultimate goal is they go through the school system, they go to college. If they go to Austin P, they're here in the community. If they leave and go somewhere else, to have them come back and work in our community. Because we want to keep them here.
Yeah, well, and our girls are 22 and 25, and Ashley's she's a financial planner now, and Autumn's got 1 semester left. But your children, how old are they?
So my daughter is 11, she's in 5th grade, and my son is 9, and he's in the 3rd grade. So I was older when I had kids. You were younger when you had your kids, because we're not too much different in age. So maybe you figured it out better than I did, because I'm tired.
We got the manual before you did.
But they started in the school system here when he was in kindergarten and she was in 2nd grade.
Okay.
So we've had nothing but a wonderful, wonderful experience. And, I may be partial because I do work for the school system, but I think that also gives me a view from the inside of, how great our teachers and our staff are as the foundation. Kind of what people don't know is that we've been around for a while. We've been around since 1986. So we're going on
before the EDC.
Before the EDC, we're going on 40 years old.
Yeah.
It was established about the time I was sitting in the kindergarten classroom. So I think for people to understand that the foundation is very well established and that our sole purpose and mission is to support the students, teachers, and staff of the school system, to give them what they need that tax dollars just can't support for various reasons.
Right.
So, I think in the last 4 years that I can speak to, having been over it 4 years in February, I came on 6 weeks before COVID hit. It was amazing, amazing time to take over a nonprofit.
Yeah.
But I can say that because we've tried to make ourselves much more forward-facing to the community and to our stakeholders, which is our CMCSS teachers and staff, our revenue's grown almost $200,000 annually, because I think people are seeing the work that we're doing is making a difference. And I'm proud of that. I'm very, very proud of that.
Oh, and you should be. So really, you've got CMCSS, then you have, and there's a bit of confusion that I hear kind of out on the street. So you've got the school board, right?
Right.
But then when you say, well, the board of the foundation, totally different.
Totally different.
So how is the Education Foundation, what type of relationship is that formalized with CMCSS?
So we obviously, as I said, our sole mission is to support public education in Montgomery County. I have had people reach out to ask if we support the private schools and things like that, and that's not what we were started for, because the foundation is me and Haley Davis. We are a tiny but mighty team, but we are employees of the school system. But we do have that separate board because we are a 501c3 established through the IRS. So we have a board of 15 people, including you, our trustee treasurer.
Happy to serve.
Happy to serve, thank you. And it's all volunteers too, because I know some boards pay their board members, but we don't. It's all volunteer based. And as I've told you and the whole board, I have probably one of the best boards I've ever worked with, because everyone sitting on that board has either a spouse as a teacher or has been a teacher, or their kids are in the school system, so they have a vested interest in making sure we're successful.
Well, and even if you didn't, like you touched upon it earlier, if you're in the business community here, like you said, I mean, future employees are in kindergarten.
Yep.
And those graduating are going to, we're talking 4 or 5 months from now.
Right.
They're going to be entering the workforce. So
yes.
Everyone has a vested interest in the school system. So the Education Foundation predates the EDC, and a lot of people, they don't know that. But what are some common, let's call them misconceptions that people might have about the foundation?
Well, I think one that I mentioned before is that we're not as established as we are. We are very well established and have been around, like I said, for almost 40 years. I think there's also a misconception of what exactly we support. And so Teacher Warehouse, which we'll talk about a little bit, of course, is our free supply store for our teachers. And I think at one point in time, there was the thought process of it was your basic stuff, your markers and your pencils and things like that. But as I've told people, if it is something a teacher is buying out of their pocket for their classroom, that is a supply. So it can run from snacks to hygiene items to art supplies to special populations. Kids need very specific things that are expensive. So we supply those type of items. So I think we've broadened the horizon of what a supply is classified. And that's helped too for them to be more comfortable to reach out and ask, hey, I need X, Y, and Z for my classroom. Can the Teacher Warehouse help? And if I can say yes, I'm in the business of saying yes.
Yeah, and I want to touch upon that too, because, Crystal, my wife, she teaches 5th grade. So I'm well aware that teachers spend money out of their own pockets for their students. But also, every school in the county is different, and every school in the county has different levels of support. So you can't just say, oh, well, it's a Montgomery County school, so they're obviously set up well because Montgomery County is doing well financially. There is disparity amongst our schools with regards to PTO involvement, et cetera. So
yeah, and I think what people don't know either, or they may not realize, is that 50% of our student population's on free and reduced lunch.
Wow.
There's an economic disadvantage there, and some schools have a higher number of those students. And a lot of those schools don't have the PTO. And that's what I try to make sure people understand too when they come in and want to be a partner in education and they want to partner with a very specific school and have their business there. I like to tell them, come to me with what you can offer and I'll connect you with the school in need, because there's some schools that have very active PTOs, which and so they can raise a lot of funds to help pay for that playground or pay for whatever in the school, or the PTO will provide those meals for Teacher Appreciation Week and stuff. So I try to encourage people to flip the script in their head on being a partner and not come to me with the school they want to help, but come to me with what they can offer, and then we'll
plug them
link
in.
them.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we've done that a lot more lately. It's been very helpful to have them come in with that mentality, because we had some schools that just COVID, they lost their partners. Businesses shut down, or businesses economically are now starting to recoup, but there was a time where it was tough to be a partner.
Yeah, and a lot of the business leaders I know, in fact, I can't think of anyone who wouldn't or doesn't want to support the school system, but oftentimes people, might not know, okay, how do I get plugged in?
Right.
Where can my services and or my money best be utilized? So we're definitely gonna touch upon the partners in education piece. So I know, the Education Foundation supports a lot of initiatives, and one of which is, grants. Can you talk a little bit about grants and how that helps?
So, as I said earlier, tax dollars don't cover everything, you may need in a classroom. Especially we have so many teachers that think outside the box and things they want to bring in for the kids to have that hands-on learning experience. And so the foundation offers grants 3 times a year. And we have a big idea grant that can be up to $2,500 for an initiative for the classroom, and then a great idea grant that's up to $1,200. And they run the gamut. A lot of things that we've seen the last few years to support social emotional learning, which are the sensory rooms. I love a sensory room. I think if every school could have one, it'd be amazing. Right. But they're not cheap, and you have to have the room and the space, and then you have to be able to supply all the items. So we funded a lot of those. Book vending machines have been a great incentive for our schools that have them. So we've been able to help kind of be that last dollar matching grant to purchase those for several schools. And then we have the science guys will come into some schools and do STEM night with the families, and we've been able to support community outreach for a lot of the schools. Some of our more, like I said, economically disadvantaged schools that just don't have the PTO or the money to be able to have family nights. We've been able to help support that. And so I love when we get the applications, because they're obviously teachers who are very passionate about what they do, but they want to be able to bring that next level into their classroom. So we did about $46,000 last school year.
Wow.
This year we're on track to probably do closer to about 30, because we also offer the morale grants, which have been a big hit, which is for the administrators to do something fun for their entire staff, just to take a break and eat a meal or go see a show at the Roxy or whatever it may be. And so some of those that we were getting applications for big idea grants to support morale have now been pushed into the morale grant category. And we did $47,000 in morale grants this year. So, and I love seeing the pictures, because there are lots of smiling faces, which we need. So
yeah, and it's often, a little bit goes a long way when it comes to appreciating people. Yep. And for sure. So big idea, great idea, morale grants. There's a scholarship program going on
that we just started.
Yeah, what can you tell us about that?
So, as you know, the last couple of years, when we do our strategic planning session, we always like to come up with something new that we can do, so we don't get stagnant. The foundation needs to be able to evolve and shift with the needs of our staff and students. And so this year we launched the Employee Student Scholarship Program. So for CMCSS seniors whose parent works for the school system, whether it's a classified employee, which is basically anything besides a teacher,
sure,
or certified employee, which is typically our teachers, that senior can apply for a $2,500 scholarship. We will have one student whose parent is a classified employee, and then one student whose parent is a certified employee.
Wow.
And we're starting to get applications, and they have to also include an essay about a teacher that affected them. And cool. I mean, the first one I read, I just bawled. I cried. My husband's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, I was not emotionally prepared for how amazing these kids are.
Yeah.
But it's also a morale booster in and of itself too, to hear these kids talk about these teachers. That the first one I read was her 5th grade teacher, and she's a senior. So I think, like in Crystal's case, she's
sure,
probably affecting kids who their whole life are going to remember Mrs. Montgomery.
Yeah, well, they're not. The teachers aren't doing it for the money.
No,
we're not here to talk about that. But they're not doing it for the money. So, the heartfelt notes, things like that go such a long way.
Well, and I think that's too, when we decided to do the scholarship, that was part of it as well, is to take a little bit of that financial burden off of that post-secondary education for those kids.
Right.
And I'm hoping as time goes on and our revenue increases, we can increase how many we offer. But I think starting with the 2 is a great place to start, and then just grow it from there.
Yeah. Well, so I know you mentioned Haley earlier on, and so I know she does a ton of great work with the warehouse.
Yes.
And I know the warehouse has really expanded its footprint and the way in which you all are able to distribute items to teachers. Can you tell people a little bit about how cool our warehouse is?
Yes, I love our warehouse. So when I took over in February of 2020, our teacher warehouse kind of looked like a thrift store and a yard sale had a baby, and it was just a mess. It was a mess. And so one of the things that I tasked Haley with and we worked on together is we kind of took everything out, we repainted, we cleaned it up, we got rid of just old, outdated items. I was finding like cassette tapes in boxes, and I was like, y'all, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on. And so we really just did an overhaul on it. And then I polled teachers. I was like, what are you buying? It doesn't do me any good to have supplies sitting there that you can't use. And so that's when we found out about the sensory items, and we go through a lot of Play-Doh, we go through a lot of specialty art things, just the random stuff, like I said, the teachers are spending their money on, and some of it's expensive. And so the teacher warehouse is based on a point system. Teachers can come in and shop in the store that's at Central Services South, 4813. All teachers get the same amount of points. It's not, they don't have to earn them or anything, and they can come shop twice a semester in the store. And then we have the online store, which we started in 2020, where they go on the portal, they order supplies, and we just ship them straight to them at the store, or from the store, and we do that once a semester. But the exciting thing is Kirkwood High School has the Supply Chain and Logistics Academy that they started, and so those students, they're actually going to start coming out next week to help us pack orders, but they're going to take over the teacher warehouse online portion here in the next few years, and they're going to come up with an inventory system. They're going to come up with the whole, how they're going to shelve things, the first in, first out concept, taking the orders, packing them, making sure they go out to the courier. And then the big goal is to have a second teacher warehouse location at Kirkwood High. So that way we are servicing basically both ends of the county.
Sure.
Because Montgomery County is big, and it takes a while to get from one
Yeah,
point to the other,
Yeah.
especially with traffic.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of growth ahead for the teacher warehouse, and I'm very excited about that. So.
Yeah, and the fact that we're going to have some Cobras in the
Yes.
in the warehouse, but I mean
Yes.
that's actually, so it's, you know, there were volunteer opportunities prior to, but this will actually be at the Kirkwood High location, on the job training, so to speak.
Yep.
You know, kind of like those looking for a career in logistics or something of that nature.
Yep. And I know they've been working with the Lowe's Distribution Center
Okay.
in Pleasant View on how to set the warehouse up to be the most efficient. And of course, ServPro Montgomery County has been our presenting sponsor for 4 years for the warehouse. They give us a nice fiscal donation each year, and then we had a pretty large fiscal donation last year from another foundation in town, and they've also pledged another certain amount of money for us this next year.
Awesome.
And so fiscally, we have the funds to be able to do things, but we haven't always had the space. And so that's where the warehouse over at Kirkwood's going to be so helpful, because Stuff the Bus, when all that comes in, those $15,000-$20,000 of supplies, they'll be able to receive that and sort them and get them inventoried. And that way too, we're not sitting on supplies that, like, markers can dry out and go bad.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have them inventoried correctly, you're hoping that they're not getting dry markers. So it's exciting, because it's gonna open up a lot of opportunities to really be available for the 2,500 plus teachers. So
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And so with scholarships and grants in the warehouse, what are some other things that the foundation
So, we
does?
got Teacher of the Year coming up at the end of February,
absolutely.
which is where, we do the banquet for the teachers who've been nominated as their school level Teacher of the Year. And then, of course, the top three, one from elementary, one from middle, one from high, are the top three district Teachers of the Year. And they can win a trip to Cabo, courtesy of Wyatt Johnson
Nice.
Toyota. So we love our friends at Wyatt Johnson.
Yeah.
And so we pay for that banquet and the awards and all those things. We sponsor it. And then the academic awards are coming up in March. And that's for the seniors who've maintained that 93 average all the way through high school, which is a huge feat. I mean, I didn't do it.
No, I wasn't there.
I did well in school, but I was not, no. And so that's grown. I think we had close to 350 seniors last year.
Wow.
And then they each can bring a parent to the banquet, 2 parents to the banquet. So you're talking almost 1,000 people that we're paying to feed and have awards and do a banquet. So that's got a hefty price tag with the way food costs have gone up. But because of our incredible sponsors and employees who give to our campaign, we're able to bring this great event to those
And
kids
that's a
every
cool way
single
to
year.
celebrate.
Because they get the honor cord for graduation.
4 years of hard work.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Good hard work and good decision making.
Good. You made good choices.
You made good choices.
You made good choices in kindergarten.
That's right.
So of course that we have, and then we have Pass and Go we do with Wyatt Johnson, where they give away a car to an advanced placement student. And then throughout the year we get, individual requests for things. Like I said, and you said every school's so different what they
Sure.
need. So if we're able to say yes, I do, and I'm pretty proud of the fact we have very rarely had to say no. Very rarely.
Yeah, no, I can attest to that. Well, something that's near and dear to my heart is the Dash to Benefit.
Yes.
So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that.
So April 20th, we'll have our second annual Dash to Benefit, which is our 5K and fun run. And that is it's a community-driven event, but of course we also give our staff and teachers a little discount on registration. But last year was in the rain, in the monsoon.
It was.
But every single volunteer showed up. I was so proud of them. We had a lot of runners show up for the amount of rain that was going on. You were there. You know how it was.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah, it was very wet. But it'll be at McGregor Park again. It's going to be a flatter course than it was last year for anyone that ran. There was a pretty hefty hill there at the beginning I didn't realize, so I apologize to those that had to run that. But yeah, through McGregor Park, there'll be health and wellness vendors and food, and TriStar Beverage is going to be one of our presenting sponsors as well. And of course, CDE Light Band is the presenting sponsor of it. And the JR Group is the bib sponsor. We appreciate that. And so, yeah, if anybody wants to register, you just go to cmceducationfoundation.com and click on Dash to Benefit. You can register from there. So, you know, we do the bash, which, you know, I did that on purpose. We have Dash in the spring and Bash to Benefit in the fall, which is more of the, you know, go have the casino night, have fun, have some drinks, have some food. So I felt it was important to have the other end of the spectrum with some health and wellness in there too. So both of those events have grown and are really decent money makers for us as well. And I appreciate everyone's support in those events. So.
Well, and they're great excuses to get together, have fun, while simultaneously supporting a great cause.
And paying to run on purpose, so.
Yeah, well, you know, you mentioned hills. A friend of mine that I run with says every hill's an opportunity.
Oh, I like that.
People
positive thinking.
They're secretly thanking you for
they're secretly
putting the hills there.
That's not what I heard after.
Yeah. No, but
no, it is. It is a good time, and you know, we're able, hopefully this year, to work with some of the athletic teams and clubs at the schools that have the most participation, whether it's runners or volunteers, to be able to do, you know, a little monetary donation to the one who has the most. And then, of course, the school that has the most participation, we do a lunch for, and that was a good driver last year. So it's one of those events that I hope to see grow continually to we're looking at several hundred runners every year. And like you said, the purpose, everyone's out there, is to have fun, but also support our kids, and I think that's important.
Yeah. So if someone's listening right now, you've mentioned multiple ways to help support our students and teachers, but I did want to dig in a little bit to the idea of, you know, the partners in education, and because I still think, you know, not everyone in town knows how to get involved, or they may think, well, I have to own a business of a certain size. So can you explain it a little bit more so people can really understand how to get involved?
Well, and I think first thing is that you don't necessarily even have to own a business. You can just be an individual who just wants to support our schools, and we have several of those. We have a lot of churches who support our schools, but I think going back to misconceptions, one of them is that it has to be monetary, and it doesn't. I think we all know time is valuable, and there's different opportunities to go in and read to the kids, or go help out with field day, because they always need volunteers to herd the cats, you know?
Sure.
And so I want people to understand too, like if your business, just throwing something out there, if you're a landscaping company, it doesn't need to be a monetary donation, but maybe they have one of the gardens at the school, or they have something going on that you can come help with a landscaping project. I know, just speaking from like the standpoint of the school my kids are at, which is more Magnet, they have that pond, they have the garden, they have all that. So some schools have unique opportunities for businesses to come in and just lend their expertise in whatever it may be. I know we've had some people have gone in and painted murals on some walls, because that's, you know, their partnership and how they can support. So it really, you can get as creative as you want to, because every school is so different with what their needs are. And I just encourage anyone who they just want to help our schools to reach out to myself or Haley, and we'll get you, like I said, linked up with a school that could utilize whatever that talent is. So
yeah, so people, and I know the foundation has a website, but they can reach out directly.
Yep.
And you guys will get them plugged in where they can best serve. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, so you've kind of seen the school system from afar, working with the EDC, and now as the director of the foundation, but you also have kids in the school system. So what are some things that make our school system special?
I think the people, number one. I think the people are what makes this community special, honestly. That was going back to the recruitment days. That was what we heard a lot from companies that we were recruiting, is the people. You know, we have growing pains like any other community that's grown like we have. In the 15 years I've been here, the growth in northern Middle Tennessee has been just crazy.
Right.
But we have great leadership. We have a wonderful director of schools. I think we have teachers who, like you said, they go in every single day and they do it for the kids. And I see it every day too. And then like with getting grant applications and seeing this outside the box thinking, we have a lot of educators that they want the absolute best for our kids and they want to offer the best. And that's where we can come in and work with them too, to be able to hopefully help support whatever they want in the classroom. And of course we have the high schools with all the academies. So whatever that talent is that student wants to cultivate, each high school has an academy, whether it's the STEM Academy at Kenwood, or like I said, the new Logistics and Supply Chain Management Academy at Kirkwood. You've got the Media Arts Technology Academy at Rossview, which is amazing to see the level of portfolio these kids have when they come out. Because I have a degree in journalism and I worked as a graphic designer in my past life when I first got out of school, and I didn't have that coming out. I was like, these kids are coming out just with so many opportunities that we didn't have back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because everyone was going to college back, that was everyone goes to college and that's what you're going to do. But we have a plethora of career and technical education opportunities too for kids that the post-secondary 4-year degree might not be their path, but they want to go TCAT. We partner with them. They have that program, and those kids, if you want to go to see a group of amazing kids, go talk to them. Yeah. So there's just there's a lot going on, and I think one thing I encourage people too, if you want to learn more and you want to see it firsthand, do Leadership CMCSS with us. You've been through, and everyone walks out with, I had no idea. That is the resounding, I had
Absolutely.
No idea.
Yeah, because it is easy to catch sound bites with, regardless of whether they're true, partially true, or absolutely untrue. But Leadership CMCSS, and I hope, maybe you can elaborate on it, but I know that my experience with the program was, even though we had children that went through the school system, elementary, middle, high school, Crystal's a teacher, I still learned so much through that program that now allows me to be able to speak intelligently about what's going on in the school system, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when you're at a specific school, a lot of the inner workings of that school. And so I think for people that have gone through it, that even have kids in the school system or that went through the school system, they came out with a better understanding of how large the school system is. We have almost 40,000 kids enrolled.
40,000. And
we have over 5,000 employees, including, classified and certified. And so we're a large school district. And with that comes a lot of different backgrounds. We have a lot of languages, native languages spoken at home. We have a lot of military, but we have a lot of people whose families have been here for several generations. And so, Leadership CMCSS is just this opportunity as a business leader, as community leader, or as a parent who wants to learn more. It can be anyone who just wants to come in and learn more and become an educated advocate for our school system. And it doesn't cost anything to go through because of our sponsors. And there's an application process that you can get the application on our website. And we will start taking applications in April for the next year's class. It'll start in August. And I just encourage people who, even looking at that future workforce and wanting to know what those kids are learning, because you will walk out with this just great appreciation for what the Clarkson-Montgomery County School System has done. You learn about the Grow Your Own program with the teacher residency, letting them go through and get their degree, whether it's bachelor's or master's, at no cost while they're a teacher resident and employed with the school system, and they come out ready to go in a classroom. That's
and we know, we both know people in that program.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my daughter's teacher last year went through the program, and she's one of those people that she was just meant to be a teacher, and it gave her that opportunity to go through and do that. So you learn more about that. You learn about the social emotional learning. There was misconceptions about that when that was a big topic of conversation several years ago, and so you get to hear directly from that team and learn more about school counseling and school psychologists and social emotional learning and what we're doing for the kids, special populations. I think that cleared up a lot of misconceptions when they got to hear from them. And then of course go in the classrooms, Spanish immersion is probably one of the coolest, seeing the kindergarten children all speaking Spanish to each other, and that's not their native language. I love going through and seeing that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was kind of a mind-blowing day.
Yeah.
You know?
You'll go into some of these schools and I'll walk out and be like, gosh, these kids are so much smarter than we were when we were their age.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing that I've appreciated working with the foundation is that we do have close interaction with the school system, the administration, and I feel like there's so much transparency. And you mentioned whether it be partners in education or leadership CMCSS, basically no barriers to entry. I mean, if you want to support a school and you want to support our teachers and students, whether it be through money, time, or your own knowledge, so that you can help spread, you know, positive news and you know, truthful information.
Yes.
You know, that I think that's huge.
Yeah, it is. And I've seen a couple people who've gone through it when there was things on social media that may have not been completely accurate, that, you know, I've seen them respond and be like, hey, this is actually what it is, or here's who you can reach out to directly to get it straight from.
Right.
You know, communications department or leadership or whoever it may be. And that's what I tell people too, when you go through this, you meet all the leadership. Like the very first session is all the senior leadership in a room together, talking about what they do and answering questions. And I think that speaks volumes too, that our leadership's willing to come in and do these sessions with leadership CMCSS for our community.
Yeah, and that's something I appreciate. You know, I was an Army officer in my previous life, and one of the things that I appreciated about the Army was that, you know, it was a learning organization. You know, we would, you know, review operations. We would learn from operations. We would learn, you know, learn and adjust how we did things. And I feel that the school system is much like that. I mean, I feel like there's transparency. There's certainly an effort to get better, continual improvement.
Yep.
You know, that's been my takeaway.
Yep. Well, you know, we have the Director of Continuous Improvement, Elizabeth Vincent, who that's what she does, is looking for ways to improve and make sure that we're up to standard. And I think that's important as an organization to identify that that's needed to continually improve, because the world changes, and it's changed rapidly, I think, in the last couple decades. You know, if you look at what the world looked like in 2000 versus what it looks like in 2024, you have to constantly be thinking and being proactive, and what are the next steps. And I think the school system's done a great job of that. And that's part of when I took over the foundation, was my thought process too, is that I don't want us to be stagnant. I want us to continue to evolve and meet needs as the needs change. And we've been able to do that. And I think that's also why our employee annual campaigns increased, you know, almost $40,000 in the last 4 years, because the employees are seeing that, you know, it's a good return on investment for them to support us.
Right.
Yeah.
How would someone get involved with serving the foundation directly as, say, a board member?
So that's one great thing about leadership CMCSS, is it allows us to kind of create a new pipeline of people who would want to serve on the foundation board. Okay. Of course, we have a nominating committee each year when we have people roll off of people that are involved in the community, involved in the school system, that are nominated, and then of course the board discusses it and selects. We have several board positions opening over the next couple of years. We have some that will probably come back on for the third term, which we've recently approved that third 3-year term, which is great. Because our board is so strong right now and is making so many great strides, I'm glad we're going to have that opportunity to retain some of our board members. But yeah, I've had people reach out that are interested in it, and I encourage them to do leadership and see if it's something they really want to do, because it could potentially be 6 to 9 years on the board. Yeah. And a lot can change in 6 to 9 years. Yes. So you know, I want people that are committed to it and committed to the cause, and not work, but be willing to volunteer in the rain if needed. Sure.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, the one takeaway from, you know, our discussion today is there are numerous ways to get involved and directly support students and teachers in Clarksville, Montgomery County. So, you know, and that's really what I wanted to get after, because a lot of people want to help, you know, and I think just you know, finding out how is a huge component of it.
Yeah.
You know, so very much appreciate all the info you've shared with us
it's
today.
a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot, and
yeah.
it's like I said, I think my past experience with the EDC and IDB definitely helped, because a lot of those corporate relationships I was able to bring over and, you know, ask for money. I think Google was one of the first phone calls I made when I took over, and of course they've been great to us. But it all, you know, it all works together, and it's for the children.
Yeah,
for the
and
kids.
you know, life's about relationships, right? So
100%.
yeah, and you know, the IQ and EQ, right? So
Yes.
yeah, well, I know you've got a busy day, and
I
I don't want Haley to get lonely. She's probably at the warehouse, you know.
She was working on Teacher of the Year when I left, because
Okay.
those invitations went out, and then we were going to go check out a location for the Classified Employee of the Year lunch. It's coming up in May. We're going to kind of elevate that a little bit.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's busy. It just stays busy, and the few moments that are quiet in the summer, we enjoy those.
Yes. Well, and you and I both know that the school system doesn't stop during the summer.
No.
Especially
No.
summer school, and what, 40,000 computers now getting retrofitted.
Yeah, gosh, our technology department, they have a lot to collect them all, and then they redistribute them, and it's
But
it's
that's
a lot
what
that
you
goes,
learn.
Yes,
that's what you learn in
what you
leadership
learn.
CMCSS.
That's what you learn.
Like, oh, everyone's just chilling and dusting. It's like, no,
No.
not everyone's chilling and dusting. Like, this is
No.
a year-round gig.
And you know, Haley and I we're 12-month employees, so of course we're year round, and there's a lot of stuff in the summer too that, like, we can get ready for the fall, because as soon as teachers are back, we go into our campaign, and we've got Partners in Education breakfast and pass and go and stuff the bus.
Right.
Yes, I encourage our community to come to Walmart in July and stuff the bus with us. That goes to the teacher warehouse. Because I have people that will be like, where do these go? Where do these supplies go? And so anytime I can kind of put two and two together with that too, that helps. So it's never a dull moment.
Wow.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
I mean, like I said, as the parent of two former CMCS students and the spouse of a teacher, I mean, I've seen firsthand how the foundation supports the school system. Huge fan. And,
Oh, thank you.
You know, just very thankful that you're where you are on the team, and looking for great things ahead. So thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
I love talking about the foundation. I love talking about myself and the foundation. So it was great.
Well,
Perfect.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
Thanks.